First at noon, Honolulu police are investigating after a 30-year-old man was killed in a shooting in Kalihi last night, and they say it happened at an illegal game room. Officers got the call at around 10:15 of reported gunshots in the area of La'a Lane. They found the victim, who had been shot and was taken to the hospital where he was later pronounced dead. HPD says it appears the victim was shot at multiple times by an unknown suspect. No arrests have been made, but if you have any information to help the case, please call Honolulu Crime Stoppers. The case against an Army soldier accused of killing his pregnant wife is moving forward. The Army Office of Special Trial Counsel has referred charges against Private First Class Dwayne Johnson II, which include the murder of 19-year-old Misha Johnson, intentionally killing her unborn child, and child pornography charges. The case will now be assigned to a military judge who will schedule court hearings and trial dates. Dwayne Johnson remains in pretrial confinement. Misha, who went missing from their Schofield Barracks home back in July, was never found. The Maui man accused of killing a woman at their home in Haiku has pleaded not guilty to the crime. 74-year-old Francisco Labuanan was indicted for second-degree murder. On January 25th, police responded to a call that a woman fell, and after investigating, they say they believe 68-year-old Cynthia Moore was killed. The pair's relationship status is still unclear at this time. Labuanan is behind bars without bail. He's due back in court on Friday. John Stansel, the half-brother of late crime boss Mike Miske, has received a 20-year federal prison sentence. He took a deal last year and pleaded guilty to being part of the Miske criminal enterprise. The 37-year-old admitted he was involved in an attempted murder-for-hire contract that Miske later canceled. He also confessed to providing a potentially dangerous pesticide that was released inside 2 nightclubs back in 2017. Stansel was also the getaway driver for multiple assaults ordered by his brother. The U.S. Senate has voted to confirm former Hawaii Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard to be the next director of national intelligence. There had been skepticism about her nomination from some Republican senators, but in the end, all GOP members voted in her favor except for one, Mitch McConnell. So far, all of President Trump's cabinet-level nominees have been approved. Next today, the Senate will vote on whether to advance Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to head the Department of Health and Human Services. And President Trump had talks with the presidents of both Russia and Ukraine as he pushes to try to end the 3-year-old war. It was first confirmed conversation between Vladimir Putin and Trump since his return to office. Erica Brown has more details from Washington, D.C.
President Trump says he held a lengthy conversation with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Trump posted on social media, "We both agreed we want to stop the millions of deaths taking place in the war with Russia and Ukraine."
They were very good calls, they were very positive, and the administration is wholeheartedly committed to a peace deal to end once and for all the Russia-Ukraine war.
The president also spoke with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky about the war, saying Ukraine is charting a path to promote peace in the area. During a meeting of NATO allies helping to defend Ukraine, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth suggested Ukraine may have to cede some of its land to Russia to end the war.
Returning to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders is an unrealistic objective.
President Trump has ordered negotiations to end the war begin immediately, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff taking the lead. Witkoff also just worked to secure the release of Mark Fogel, an American teacher who was held in a Russian prison for the last 3.5 years. Witkoff sent his personal plane to Russia to bring Fogel home.
President Putin had to pardon him and had to approve it. So that evidently happened. And I would say that without President Trump's election, none of this would have happened.
Trump says he has always had a good relationship with Putin and praised the Russian leader as he celebrated Fogel's return.
We appreciate President Putin's what he did. He was able to pull it off for you, right?
The Kremlin reported Trump and Putin spoke for nearly 90 minutes Wednesday. Erica Brown, CBS News, Washington.
Here at home, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers and their supporters were out sign waving at the state capitol this morning, bringing attention to a bill that would lower the legal blood alcohol concentration limit from 0.08 to 0.05 here in Hawaii. MAD says the bill will save lives and reduce impaired driving fatalities.
When someone chooses to drive impaired, they don't just risk their life, they risk everyone else's. And when they make that choice, they don't just leave behind a wrecked car. They leave behind a wrecked family and a shattered future.
This isn't just about statistics or research. This is about people's lives. This is about the families who lost loved ones to drunk driving. This is about the survivors who've been forever changed by a split-second decision. So I urge our lawmakers to take action.
Right now, Utah is the only state in the U.S. with a blood alcohol limit of 0.05%. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says the change has lowered the number of fatal crashes in Utah. The city and police union have agreed on hazard pay for Honolulu police officers who worked during COVID. The tentative deal, if approved by SHOPO members, would mean 15% extra pay across the board for those who worked between the years 2020 and 2022. Members will start voting this weekend, and if approved, it goes to the Honolulu City Council. Other Honolulu first responders are still negotiating deals. The city has a total of $115 million to fund hazard pay for all workers. Maui is the only county that has already completed the hazard pay process. Now to an attempted murder investigation after a security guard was stabbed by a shoplifting suspect in Makiki. As Allison Blair reports, Sunday's attack is the latest in a series of violent assaults against private security officers in Hawaii.
As more businesses hire private security to protect property and combat crime, a law enforcement expert we spoke with expressed a need for increased training and better safety equipment.
Just before 9:30 Sunday night, Honolulu police responded to the Safeway on South Baratanga near Pi'ikoi Street after a security guard was attacked by a shoplifting suspect witnesses say was armed with a knife. According to police sources, the 61-year-old was stabbed in the back. He also suffered lacerations on his arm and torso. Law enforcement expert Tom Simon says the attack underscores the potential risk of the job.
The dangers they face are often underestimated by the public.
According to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, when it comes to security guards, 13% of all on-the-job injuries stem from physical assaults. Sometimes those attacks turn deadly. In May 2022, Michael Stubbs suffered a fractured skull after being hit in the head by a man wielding a stainless steel water bottle outside Pioneer Plaza. The 58-year-old later died from his injuries. 7 months later, Mike Chu was stabbed to death at Windward City Shopping Center. The 77-year-old was a security guard at the Kaneohe Strip Mall. Simon says, in general, security officers could benefit from more in-depth training. That's not all.
One of the biggest issues I see is the lack of adequate safety equipment. From simple body armor to the ability to contact sworn law enforcement, security professionals need to be properly equipped to do their jobs safely.
We asked officials at Safeway what kind of training its security officers receive, what kind of protective equipment they're supplied with, and if their security guards are given any instruction on how to deal with suspected shoplifters or other individuals who may be causing trouble on the property. We're waiting for a response. Meanwhile, data from the federal government shows urban Honolulu has one of the highest concentrations of security guard jobs in the country. Despite the dangers that accompany the work, the average salary is only about $38,000 a year.
We need more advocacy for the security industry as a whole, pushing for fair wages, better working conditions, and improved safety standards.
At last check, no arrests have been made in connection with Sunday night's stabbing. We asked HPD for a description of the suspect. We're waiting for a response. Allison Blair, Hawaii News Now.
Thank you, Allie. Well, you have a chance to weigh in on the location of Kauai's future jail and prison. The state has launched a website to provide feedback on the proposed site off Ma'alo Road in Lihue. The 30-acre plot is owned by Grove Farm. The state legislature has allocated $20 million for the new Kauai Community Correctional Center. For a link to share your thoughts, head to our website, hawaiinewsnow.com. Whether you're a renter or homeowner, do you have enough insurance coverage if disaster strikes? Thousands of Californians who lost their homes in the devastating wildfires are learning they're underinsured and won't get compensated for all their losses. Usher Qureshi looks at how to figure out your coverage.
Whether it's a tornado, flood, earthquake, or any kind of disaster, many of us rely on our insurance to get us through. But imagine losing everything you have in a disaster like this, but then thinking to yourself, well, at least I have insurance. As many as 3 in 4 U.S. homeowner policyholders could be underinsured. To help us understand this issue, we're talking to Jennifer Gray Thompson, who is the CEO of the nonprofit After the Fire USA. So Jennifer, how do you even figure out if you're underinsured?
Well, the first thing you have to do is actually read your policy, and most of us don't do that. And so we really encourage you to either sit down with somebody who is an expert in insurance. Your underwriter will be able to do this with you.
Make your own calculations. Take the dollar amount of your dwelling coverage limit and divide it by your square footage. It should roughly equal the average construction cost per square foot in your area. A dollar amount you can find by doing an online search for construction cost per square foot along with your zip code. What about people who are not part of a disaster right now, but they do the calculation and they find out that they're not covered for any kind of natural disaster at the level they should be?
Do go to your underwriter and ask. Max out on your insurance. It does cost us a little bit more every single month, but it's just incredibly important. Some people won't call because they're afraid of being dropped. Do not do that.
Make a list of all your possessions with their estimated value. Update it annually, and make sure your agent knows about any new big purchases like jewelry and art.
Make sure that they have also added that into their contents insurance. Most people don't know that they have contents insurance as part of their insurance policy. See how much it is.
If you're in the middle of a crisis and you realize you're underinsured, you have some options. Contact FEMA for possible assistance and negotiate with your insurance company. What if you come to the conclusion that you're underinsured, but your insurance agent says you're fine? What should you do?
Ask them to actually put it in writing, an email or something back to you that is official saying that you are adequately insured. You must have it in writing and in some way that you can easily access it.
I'm Usher Qureshi, CBS News.
And happy Wednesday, everybody. Of course, over the last couple of days, we've been giving you the first alert that foggy skies are expected across a majority of the island chain by the time we get to Wednesday and Thursday. So as we go into this evening, you're going to start seeing more southerly winds across most of the state. Of course, with the eruption ongoing at Kilauea, and it's been off and on, so we've been seeing a lot of fog coming from Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. You can see all of this fog getting blown west of Hawaii Island. And as we get these southerly winds, you'll start to see the fog and the entire plume blowing across Maui County, Oahu, and Kauai. So hazy skies are expected over the next several days, and higher concentrations of sulfur dioxide and the other fumes from the volcano over near the actual volcano in Hawaii Island. Coming up in my full forecast, I'll give you a breakdown on why we're seeing these southerly winds. We've got a weak front that's approaching on Friday.
Inflation is going up, and there are fears it could go even higher. I'm Kelly O'Grady, and I'll tell you why.
The County of Hawaii is moving forward with urgent repairs and upgrades to the Hilo wastewater treatment plant. Mayor Kimo Alameda has signed an emergency proclamation to comply with a federal order to get the project going because the site is in such poor condition that it's at risk of a major sewage spill. The plant in Keaukaha was built in 1993 and will now undergo a $337 million rehabilitation project.
Being over 30 years old and facing major problems from corrosion to deferred maintenance, the federal Environmental Protection Agency has mandated the county to repair and replace this facility.
The plant serves about 30,000 residents and treats 3 million gallons of wastewater every day. The county is also facing orders by the EPA to fix other aging facilities around the island. The Hilo project starts next month and will take about 5 years to complete. Inflation is starting the new year on the rise. A government report shows overall prices increased 3% in January from the year before. That's higher than analysts anticipated and moving further from the Federal Reserve's target of just 2%. Kelly O'Grady breaks down the data.
Food prices are heading in the wrong direction, and eggs are one reason why. An ongoing bird flu outbreak is creating shortages and leading to some empty store shelves.
That's insane. Like, where are the eggs?
Those who can find eggs are paying much more. Prices jumped 15% in January and are up a whopping 170% since 2019. Consumers are not only seeing higher prices at the grocery store, but also at restaurants. Waffle House added a 50-cent surcharge for eggs. Lynn's restaurant outside of Minneapolis is doing the same.
We felt bad, but the only thing we could do is go to the menu, and we did a temporary surcharge of 35 cents per egg.
It remains to be seen where we are going with inflation.
CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger says rising rent and housing costs continue to drive overall inflation higher. And many economists are trying to gauge the future impact of President Trump's tariffs on imported goods.
If those tariffs stayed in place for a number of months, we would see prices go up and we would see the inflation rate rise.
All this is bad news for people looking to get a loan. With prices moving higher, the Federal Reserve is expected to leave interest rates alone at its next meeting in March. And the Fed is not likely to cut rates again until inflation starts easing. Kelly O'Grady, CBS News, New York.
Stick around, your first alert full forecast is coming up. We're tracking a front on Friday as well as one on Sunday and Monday. And of course, fog over Hawaii Island and the rest of the island chain.
First Alert Weather with Drew Davis.
Well, happy Wednesday, everybody. Of course, we've got relatively mellow weather expected today and Thursday, but a change is going to arrive by the time we get to Friday and Sunday and Monday. Let's take a look at our First Alert Weather headlines. We've got a Friday cold front, a weak cold front that's going to approach, and we already took a look at that VOG forecast. So we're seeing VOG across the majority of the island chain. It might be a little bit hazy out there on Thursday and the first part of Friday. Just giving you a quick look at our hour-by-hour forecast. Outside we go, 80 degrees, southerly winds around 8 miles per hour in town, and expanding this out over the next several hours, you'll see we'll get to around 71 by the time we get to midnight tonight. Relatively calm weather expected throughout today, but things might change, especially for the western half of the state as we get into this upcoming Friday morning. So this is Wednesday around 1 p.m. Over the next hour, you're seeing a couple of showers out there, relatively dry across most of the state, but things change early Friday morning. A weak cold front is going to approach in from the northwest, really stalling over Kauai and could impact Oahu as well. And it's also pulling up southerly winds ahead of it, so we could see some more humidity over in the entirety of the island chain. This is Friday around 7 p.m. and then by the time we get to this weekend, a better chance for some showers over the eastern half of the state, but another cold front is expected to form by the time we get to Sunday evening. This is around 10 p.m. bringing in some showers for Kauai, Oahu, and it could even be a little bit wet, a little bit moist out there for the Great Aloha Run on Monday. And Maui County, you can see, the Great Aloha Run this weekend, you can see Maui County and Hawaii Island out there, a couple of showers as well. Our overall windcast, you can see as we're going forward, better chance for these southerly winds, especially over the western half of the state. A little bit breezy out there by the time we get to Kauai, or on Kauai for Thursday. And your island by island forecast, you can see mostly sunny conditions out there on most of the island chain. Widespread haze and fog expected across the island chain as we're going into Thursday. Maui County, mostly sunny. The fog moving across the rest of the island chain. Hawaii Island, foggy, of course, because of the light winds we're seeing, allowing the concentrations of sulfur dioxide to grow around Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. Westerly winds expected on the northern parts of the Big Island. High surf advisories up for several of our north and west facing shores alongside the Kona coast of Hawaii Island until 6 a.m. on Thursday. And just a quick look, small craft advisory up as well. And our surf and shoreline forecast. North and west facing shores are on the decline. Our First Alert 7-day forecast, beautiful weather out there over the next couple of days. Friday, Sunday, and Monday may be a little bit wet.
We're sniffing out the premier pup at this year's Westminster Dog Show. I'm Jared Hill with a look behind the scenes of one of the oldest continuously running sporting events in the country.
And K5 will be airing the Big Island Inter let's end the show with some good news. The Westminster Dog Show has a new champion. A giant schnauzer took home the top spot last night.
And it's the first time since 2004 a dog from the working group had a victory. Jared Hill reports.
Giant schnauzer.
Oh, Monty!
A stately giant schnauzer named Monty took top prize at the 2025 Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show. The 5-year-old besting 6 others, including a super symmetrical Bichon and this honey-colored whippet named Bourbon. The road to Westminster begins long before any primping backstage.
When they're a couple weeks old, you kind of start to see like the ones that really stand out.
The Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show, now in its 149th year, brings together more than 2,500 dogs from over 200 breeds, like this big guy.
This is bodacious.
Bodacious is a good name.
The 3-year-old short-hair St. Bernard won Best in Breed.
He's still maturing, so.
So he's gonna get bigger.
Yeah, he's gonna get bigger.
It's not only about the size,
Isn't he gorgeous?
but it is often about the hair.
We spend a lot of time teasing. You know, it's cute little ladies, so you get a lot of teasing in there.
Ever wonder how an Irish setter keeps a coat this silky? It depends on location.
You go to the desert, it's way more dry, and you need to use different kind of conditioners and supplements.
And this parade of pooches, they're not just show dogs. Champions are also household pets. Some do therapy work, others even saving lives as search and rescue canines. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
They're all so cute. They all deserve to win.
I love all of the hairstyles. They're very funny.
They use more product than we do, for sure. Thanks for watching. This is Now, everyone. More headlines first at 4 right here on KHNL. Aloha.